I want to talk a little bit about The Wolf Among Us 2. And I know that I'm very late to this, but I wanted to talk about the screenshots that Jeff Keighley released on his Twitter account. Now, I shared those here on the channel when they first came out, and I immediately started thinking about The Wolf Among Us. I started thinking about Bigby Wolf, started thinking about how much I enjoyed the first game, how much it has become like a cult classic for me, how much I play the game every year. I mean, it is a world that is so big. There is so much to explore, so much to see, so much potential to it. And my mind just started going crazy when I finally saw actual like screenshots of the game. I know that we've seen gameplay in the trailer and things like that, but to really like sit down and watch some screenshots and kind of explore what's going on in the background, kind of see some of the lighting, see Bigby up close and personal, what kind of clothes he's wearing, his hair. It almost took me to when I first experienced The Wolf Among Us, and there's like, I got a little bit of fear actually watching and seeing some of these screenshots, and I want to go over them with you guys together and talk about them, and I kind of explain what I mean when I talk about the fear. So the first image that we got here is Bigby Wolf looking at something. Now it's out of focus, so we can't see it, but we see that the big bad wolf is wearing a coat. That big blue coat that he's wearing has a little bit of fur on it. He still has his collared shirt with the tie on it, but we get a good look at Bigby Wolf here. Now he looks like Bigby from The Wolf Among Us 2, but you can tell he's a little bit softer in some areas. You can tell he's a little bit softer here on the chin. His design itself is a little bit more, I wouldn't say realistic, but it's more akin to fluid movement, right? And that is because of the new engine that Telltale is using. They are using the engine that Life is Strange uses as they're working on this game together. So Bigby Wolf is going to look different, and a lot of the characters are going to look different, more realistic. The movement is going to be a little bit more smoother, like I mentioned. So that was one of the things that I was scared about, because I don't want The Wolf Among Us to lose its vibe, how it feels. I don't want it to lose its uniqueness. And I played Telltale's The Expanse. I played the most recent game. I played it to completion, and it was a good game. The movement was different. I mean, it was similar enough to old Telltale games, but it was just different enough to make it feel like something completely new. And I was kind of excited, but at the same kind of scared to see how that would translate to the world of The Wolf Among Us. Now, the second image that we can look at is where the butcher, because we see another look here, and I'm pretty sure that's the butcher. I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but we see the butcher here talking to the psychiatrist or the therapist that Bigby is now seeing due to his anger management and him losing control and things like that. Why is the butcher here? I do not know. He has a little bit of coffee there at the bottom. It looks like they're maybe talking about the events that occurred in the first game. This game takes place 6 months after the original, so maybe they're just talking about that. Maybe the butcher is kind of talking to the therapist about how Bigby Wolf treated him and how he thinks he could be better, things like that. Now, in the background of this image, we see Living Healthy, Say No to Drugs. We got to remember this game takes place, I believe, in the 90s, potentially 80s, but I believe in the 90s. I believe this game takes place in the 90s, so a lot of the artwork and the posters and things you'll see kind of will look like from that 80s, 90s type of era or vibe or whatever you want to call it. But I think that poster is really cool. It kind of lets you know that the world is bigger. You really just feel that this is a real room, a real place, and a lot of things are going on outside of these characters, which is what I really, really like. I can't see what the other poster says, but we see some news here on this board, and if I'm not mistaken, here on the right, that might be Faith's head laying there, dead, as like a newspaper report. We have other ones there that I cannot see. They're very blurry and out of focus, but I do believe that is Faith. So, you know, maybe we get to see a little bit of what happened. Now, the creators of this game are saying that it's going to be a new story and it's not really going to focus on what happened with Faith or whatnot. But if they're maybe giving us a little image of her, there might be a mention, which I hope there is, so we can see kind of what happens. What else can we spot in this room? We have some more posters here in the back to the right. I cannot read those either. We got some donuts. We got a little bit of coffee and a take one only sign. Again, very very cool. I'm interested to see who this therapist is, and you know, what is her tale? What fairy tale is she? But anyways, let's look at our next image. Now we have a big, beautiful shot of Bigby Wolf on top of a roof in New York City. Here we get to see that it's night, cloudy, snowy, and we get to see that comic book design, that comic book look to the game. It looks beautiful. It looks awesome. And I love the tones of purple that you see, the tones of blue, the tones of hard black. It's all awesome. The little bit of hints of white with the snow falling. I think this is something that I really want to see more in The Wolf Among Us 2, is more shots of the city. There were a couple shots of the city in the first one, like the bridge, a big shot of the city at night, a big shot of the city during the day. More of that like cinematography type of stuff I really want to see in The Wolf Among Us 2. I hope they're able to slow down a little bit and give us these beautiful shots of the world outside of our characters, right? There's a breathing, living world out there, and I want to be able to experience it through these shots. I think this is one of the most beautiful shots in a Wolf Among Us game. I mean, this is gorgeous, and I love the tone, I love the setting, the warmth, the breeziness, the coldness of it. It's going to be awesome. Then we obviously see Bigby Wolf there, and he's kind of looking down. He might be more than likely in this scenario here, we're looking for clues, looking for something that is obviously going to lead us to our next point. But I really like this shot in particular. Anything weird or anything like a Easter egg or something that kind of tells us what's happening in the story, I cannot spot here. I'm looking currently, but I don't see any out of the ordinary. It just looks like Bigby is on the hunt. But this, once again, is a beautiful, beautiful shot, and why I love The Wolf Among Us 2. And then we come to our final scene or our final picture. And this one is actually my favorite out of all the ones that we've gotten. Now, it is very simple. We see Bigby here in a closed room, and it says investigate the crime scene. Now, I like this for many reasons. We're able to see our cursor here, the little circle, that we can move around to click onto different things to have Bigby walk to them. That's how we were doing it in the first game. So it obviously brought me back to the first game, and I'm actually seeing real in-time gameplay, and I wanted to see how that looked. I love that you still have the hard blacks here on the ceiling, on the top of the room. That was a fear that I had, because I thought to myself, like, you know, with this new engine that they're working on and how the expanse kind of looked, I really hope that The Wolf Among Us 2 doesn't lose its color, doesn't lose its comic book feel that it has. I really did not want that to happen. So I was really scared when I was replaying the game, the first one, and I saw these like dark shadows, and I immediately thought to myself, I really hope that The Wolf Among Us 2 keeps that. And it seems like they are. And it makes me really happy to see that they are keeping these hard, harsh, dark lines. Now, in the room, we also get to see the investigate the crime scene words there. That to me is important and interesting, because it also gives us a look at how the menu is going to look, how the hood is going to look, and what kind of stuff is going to appear on it. I love the little teal blue to it. It looks nice. It seems like the font from the first game is still going to apply here. It's the same font, I do believe, from the first game. So it makes it feel known. It makes it feel like I can relate to this. This feels similar, and I'm liking it, right? That's what the vibe that I'm getting from this. What else do we see here? We see a half-eaten sandwich, a cup, and some chips that somebody didn't eat. Is this Bigby's room? Probably not. This is someone's room here, or someone's apartment, and we are having to investigate again so it can lead us to our next clue. I can't tell exactly what these pictures are, but we see a lot of fruits here. We see pears. There's a little horse, a little pony in one of the pictures here to the right. So yeah, I don't know whose home this is, but the vibe of this is really good. It finally kind of lets us see into real gameplay footage and how the game is going to look. This also kind of gave me a little bit of fear, because I didn't know how I was going to feel seeing a new image of something that I've never played before, because I've played The Wolf Among Us enough that I know like every scene that we're getting, and I know so many of you have played it even more than me, and you know like every scene we're getting, we already know where Bigby goes and all that stuff. But here in this picture, we're seeing Bigby in a brand new setting that we've never seen before. We're seeing him in a blue coat in a new room, and he's investigating something we've never seen, and that is crazy to me, because we're so used to what we're used to in the first game that this just blew my mind when I saw this. And there's an element of fear, because I just don't want it to be bad. I don't want this game to be bad at all. I want this game to be good. I need it to be good, and I hope that it's great.